all you people that were bummed when you found out that Armored Core 6 would be the latest game by From Software instead of another Souls-like. I bet you're feeling pretty silly right now, aren't you? 2023 has been an amazing resurgence for AAA gaming in terms of quality. Not everything's been great, but we have so many Game of the Year contenders already, and I'm recording this video in September. Hi-Fi Rush, Hogwarts Legacy, Dead Space Remake, Resident Evil 4 Remake, Star Wars Jedi Survivor, not the PC port, Tears of the Kingdom, Final Fantasy 16, Baldur's Gate 3, and now, Armored Core 6, Fires of Rubicon. That's right, they did it again. This game is freaking amazing.
That's it for this job, 621. Return to base.
I'm not gonna lie, I knew I was gonna get a good game because it's From Software, but I never thought I would have this much fun with it. I know, I share the same sentiment as many other people, and I think it's safe to say all of our expectations have been exceeded. I also had some fears coming in because this would be the first game since Dark Souls 2 where Hidetaka Miyazaki would not be the overall director for the game. This time being helmed by Masaru Yamamura, who was a lead game designer for Sekiro. But not to doubt this guy's abilities, but we remember the last time that Miyazaki wasn't the director for a From Software game. But no, they actually did it. They did it without him.
There's no way that can be right.
So, how did they do it again? Well, that's what we're here to discuss, aren't we? So strap in, boys and girls, and let's get down to business. Armored Core 6 is a return to the mech game genre, and From Software's first Armored Core since 2013 and first mainline entry since 2012. You play as the mercenary C4621, call sign Raven, who infiltrates the contaminated planet of Rubicon 3 at the behest of your boss, the mysterious Handler Walter. And nothing says infiltrate like dropping in from space. I'm surprised no one picked this up on their radar. Oh crap! Someone did. The planet is the subject of a resource war between rivaling corporations looking to mine coral, a substance that is seen as the next big energy source for humanity, and hopefully Sony's answer to the DualSense controller's 1-hour battery life. You establish yourself as the best independent mercenary on Rubicon as you pilot your AC and destroy various targets, and I mean really destroy them, collect data, and make some friends along the way. Does that sound like fun to you? Because it is. The game is centered around its gameplay, so let's talk gameplay. How is the gameplay? Now, look, this is my first time playing an Armored Core games, and I would reckon for many of you watching this and playing this that is also the case. So I don't know if what I'm about to say is consistent with the other games in the franchise. Phenomenal. I don't think I have ever played a From Software game where the combat feels this effortless. The way you just flow around the battlefield, gliding around in your mech, melting brittle enemies with your guns and swords while firing off your missiles which converge on the targets before they blow up in the most satisfying way possible. It feels like you're riding on train rails or skating on ice. It's just so fluid. Especially when you're fighting other ACs who match you in speed and firepower, it becomes a duel of attrition and you both zoom around the battlefield. Hope you don't have motion sickness. And the incredible part about this is that it is completely polished. Not once while zooming around the battlefield and tracking enemies did I experience a single glitch or frame rate drop. Although I am playing on a PS5. Let me know in the comments if we've had the first successful PC port of 2023. This is not the game where you have to read enemy movements and respond accordingly, for the most part. It is balls to the wall action. Just shoot until your opponent is dead, and get on with your life. You have an auto lock system where once you're in range, your reticle automatically snaps to the enemies in front of you, and then you have your manual lock on when you want to track them around the battlefield. This actually threw me for a loop a couple times because when you activate manual lock-on, it stays that way until you deactivate it. I kept pressing the button and kept losing enemies, which would really screw me over, especially in faster boss fights. The gameplay is also assisted by one of the best customization loadouts that From Software has ever had. The amount of weapons and armor at your disposal and the different combinations that you can make for both your hand weapons and your shoulder weapons creates ridiculous amounts of possibilities when approaching combat. And you know what the best part about this is? There is no investment required besides actually purchasing the gear. In Souls games, when you commit to a build, you have to fully commit to the build. You need to put in the requisite upgrade materials in and scaling the specific stats. If you get bored of your +7 golden halberd build and want to become a sorcerer, well, too bad you don't have any intelligence. Guess you gotta go back farming for smithing stones and go back to Renala to respec. In Armored Core 6, there is no leveling system. You purchase the weapon, you purchase the armor, and you can use it anytime throughout the game, as long as you're not overburdened. This translates to appearance as well. You can be a simple boy, you can bulk up, you can skip leg day. Tired of being labeled as a man or a woman? Well, now you can identify as a tank. Say hello to John Armored Core. The freedom that the customization gives you means that not only can your appearance change at any time, but your strategy can change too. Which means if you're having trouble facing a boss or a situation where your current loadout is insufficient, go change your loadout and see the benefits.
Hi, how are you?
There's no time-consuming investment process. You just pick what you want and go, as long as you have enough credits to purchase it. And I'm gonna be honest, if this is the type of progression that From Software wants to go with, where you don't need to upgrade anything in order for it to work, it just levels on stat scaling, then I wouldn't have a problem with it, because Armored Core 6 just showed that it can work. But let's piggyback off that point, and let's talk about a From Software staple. The boss, baby. Now, are the bosses in Armored Core 6 as complex or as interesting as Souls bosses? In my opinion, no. But are they good? Yes. There was probably only one boss that I would actually say was a waste of time, and that's these two degenerates. Seriously, who didn't just obliterate these two whenever they came onto the screen? Now, as far as bosses that are not well designed, I don't think there is one. There are some that are more brutal than others, but none that I would really consider unfair. There's no ulcerated tree spirit in this game. Although the fact that the PCA helicopter can go outside of the boundary while you can't, I would say is bullshit. But it doesn't break anything. Now, I got the bad ending, so I don't know if there's another boss on another ending that is bad design. I may find one on a second or third playthrough, but as of right now, the bosses are incredibly well balanced and provide the perfect set of difficulty. Let's talk about some of the notable ones. The first one, the PCA helicopter. Oh boy, this kicked all of our asses when we first encountered it. The amount of firepower this thing has can melt you before you even know it. But this is where Armored Core 6 forces you to learn to think critically. You clearly can't outgun the thing, and even when you hit him, it doesn't really do a lot of damage to itself or its posture bar. That's right, it's back and it's not going anywhere. So it's destroying you. But the guns are in the front, so that means it has a blind spot, right? Where is that? Under it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
Oh, and by the way, you have a sword. So boost up and take a swing. And you quickly realize that melee damage is pretty damn good. Another notable boss is the one that seems to be causing more players to have aneurysms than any, Balteus. This is where the game tells you that now it is the time to start reading some movements while keeping up the pressure, because these missiles are like moths, and you are a front porch light. It also is the first time where the game starts to make the player think. Maybe I should change my build, because I don't think this is working. But I chose to persist.
He's gone!
Another notable boss is the one that teaches you the final lesson, and that is the weaponized Roomba, I mean Smart Cleaner. This guy is pretty easy when you're avoiding his attacks. However, he also teaches you to manage your boost, because you need to be in the air to effectively fight this guy. Because being on the ground with him is a surefire way to either get vacuumed up or to take a slow left hook to the midsection. And believe me, it hurts. The bosses in Armored Core 6 are all difficult in their own ways, but this is where the beauty around From Software difficulty itself shows. There is a way around everything. Once you get into a groove and find a comfortable build, the bosses become easy. However, getting into that groove and finding that comfortable build is the hard part. And that, my friends, is how you do difficulty, and that is how you do boss fights. Now we get to what I personally think is the best part of the entire game, and that is the arena. If you loved fighting ACs in the story, you're gonna love this. The arena is essentially a dueling ring where the game pits you against other ACs at different difficulty stages, and each win moves you up the rankings where the fights become more complex and faster paced. Most of the ACs you fight are actually characters that you find in-game, such as Gun 6 Red, V4 Rusty, and Cinder Carla. Every one of these fights tests your true ability to survive in Armored Core 6, because you can waltz through basic enemies like they're nothing, but if you can't outgun another AC, you ain't getting far in this game. And as a reward for beating them, you get their preset AC data, which you can swap out for your own as long as you have the respective parts unlocked. So you can turn Gun 6 Iguazu into the merc he always wanted to be. Now he's the freelancer. You also get OST chips, which unlock different features and stat buffs, such as increased defense, repair kit effectiveness, damage type buffs, and other things to turn you into an indestructible buzzsaw. The actual training modules too also give you rewards in the form of armor parts and credits, and this coupled with the arena is a genius form of training because it incentivizes the players to actually learn the game and get better, just like job training in real life. Here's something I never thought I'd be saying about a From Software game. Here, come here.
The PvP is incredible.
Now, I wasn't around for Dark Souls 3 Fight Club, so I can't comment on how that experience went, but Armored Core 6 is the best PvP that From Software has ever made. You know why? Because it actually works. The PvP in Souls games are good, when they work. So, you either have a tense, drawn-out duel, or you get backstabbed from 20 feet away. There's a 75-25, maybe even a 50-50 shot that the encounter is bugged. Armored Core 6, nothing's been bugged, yet. The PvP follows two formats, singles combat or team deathmatch, and the games have options for member rotation, where players can join a lobby but are forced to rotate with waiting players based on either winning or losing. Or, if you want, you can just keep the rotation locked, where all players are kept in the game for subsequent sorties. And seeing different builds in the PvP and how OP they are might give you the idea to adopt that type of playstyle in the game. I saw this guy using a tank and I found it harder to kill him, so I thought, maybe I can actually use that.
Raven, I'll support you. Don't let them near the tower, Forrest.
Boom, you got a buzzsaw. Now, is the PvP gonna be on the level of COD or Fortnite? Absolutely not. But is it fun as all hell? Have you been watching so far? I don't know if the lead designer for the multiplayer has ever worked on Souls PvP, but if not, then maybe put this guy on the team moving forward. Let's see what happens, because what they pulled off here is incredible. It may not have as many modes as COD, but who knows, depending on fan feedback, they may add some more modes into the game, such as Domination, King of the Hill, Capture the Flag. Bro, imagine if they put a form of gun game in here. I have nothing but good things to say about the PvP, and you should absolutely play it. Now we get to the story. Now, how do I feel about the story of Armored Core 6? Well, as a fan of From Software games, I know I'm gonna get a vague story that doesn't really explain much, but what they've utilized so well is the art of show, don't tell, to make up for some of this vagueness. However, in Armored Core 6, there's a lot more tell than show. I mean, compared to the rest of From Software's games. Yes, there are moments in the story where you're like, wait, how did Ayer get into my consciousness? What exactly is the Institute? How did the Rubiconians become Coral? Spoiler alert. There's still things like that are From Software staples, but these moments, at least for me, were scattered amongst the plot. The first two chapters, unfortunately, are very bland for me, even for a From Software game. You're taking jobs from both the Arquebus and Balaam corporations, as well as jobs from the Rubicon Liberation Front, the local resistance force looking to push back the corporations. Yes, because there's people on Rubicon that survived this. And the jobs are straightforward, but at this point, the gameplay is holding them up. Though there are some standouts, like your first mission with real allies, with Gun 1 Michigan in your ear.
This is just target practice. We're done. The base is next.
Can't take yourself away from the check and tag along. Why don't you start a sewing club
And of course the mission with the Strider, which looks incredible. But aside from that, everything is very straightforward and uninteresting. The story starts to get interesting in Chapter 3, and this is where you start to see some wild stuff. And your standard twists and turns and decisions the player have to make, but even then, I never felt like I was invested in the story itself, more like I was invested in the gameplay. The story just happened to get more interesting, and that seems to be what they're going for. Now, I played through the game once, and like I said, I'm pretty sure I got the bad ending. So I know there's going to be people in the comments saying that I have to get all 3 endings to have an opinion, and I understand where you're coming from, I really do. But from what I understand, the differences in choice only branch out to a small amount of missions towards the end of the game. The thing is, there's a beginning and a middle of the game, and I don't believe they alter these parts of the story, more like they alter the end of the story. And let's say that the other 2 endings are incredible. I personally thought the ending I got was great, but let's say that's the case for the other 2 as well. That still doesn't change the fact that the first half of the story was bland. And you know what? Even if it wasn't, I still don't think I'd be invested in the story itself. Allow me to explain. In Dark Souls, Bloodborne, and Elden Ring, you're given a very minimalistic story. So minimalistic that you can't properly judge it on its merits alone, so what do you judge in its place? The lore. Or in other words, the depth. There's layers upon layers upon layers of backstory that add more weight to everything you're doing, and those layers act as the story because they are the only things you have to go by. This is why the chase for items is so great, because every little thing you get might reveal something interesting about a part of the world. The point is, you have to judge what you're being given. In Armored Core 6, what I'm given, I feel is very surface level. I don't feel like there is a lot of depth to it. Now, it sounds like I'm bagging on the story. I'm not. I knew I wasn't going to get something like Elden Ring. I'm just explaining the 2 methods of storytelling and my personal feelings toward them. I don't even think Armored Core 6's story is bad. I think it's good enough. And you know what? That's fine. A minimalistic story like this is fine when its purpose is to service the gameplay. But unless there's more to it, then you can't say it's on the level of those other games. I hope that made some sense, because I'm gonna get hate for this in the comments, but hey, it helps the discourse, so fire away. So in closing, Armored Core 6 is just the latest example of a theory that has now been proven true. From Software is the best video game developer in the industry right now. Since the mess that was Dark Souls 2 in 2014, they have been hitting on everything. And all the games have some different mechanics and settings attached to it. What's that? You're getting tired of dark medieval fantasy atmosphere of our first 3 games? Well, here's Bloodborne, a gothic horror setting with giant alien gods. Oh, you're getting tired of the traditional Souls combat? Well, here's Sekiro, the best duel simulator ever made. Then one day Miyazaki woke up and said, feeling bored. Might redefine what it means to be an open world game. Look at that, we have Elden Ring. What's that? Mech games are dead, you say?
Are you sure about that?
And these games haven't just been good. They've been solely on a scale of great to masterpiece. And in the past 9 years, they've released 5 games. So it's not like they just drop one game and then wait 5 years to drop the next one. This is a pretty consistent release window. And they've maintained all of that consistency. What other developer can say that right now? From Software took a franchise and a genre that has been dead for the better part of a decade, and after years of making action RPGs, with the snap of a finger, breathed new life not only into the Armored Core franchise, but the mech game genre as a whole. And you better bet that there's going to be more mech games coming down the line that launch in the next few years, given the fact that Armored Core 6 has had one of the most successful years in launches for a mech game that has ever had. And that's just counting the Steam statistics. All of this, by the way, without Miyazaki at the helm. They have proven that they are not just the product of one man, although please keep him in charge of the Souls games because it has been working. Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon is a great game, and it gets a 9 out of 10. So thank you guys so much for watching. What do you guys think of Armored Core 6? Do you have the same opinions as me? Do you have different opinions as me? I want to hear all opinions because that's just how I am, and I think we all should hear a lot of more opinions. So drop it in the comments if you disagree or agree. Let me know your thoughts. Drop a like on the video. and subscribe to Zitiboi, because this is the only place where you get reviews this damn good. Alright everybody, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.